Hey guys, it's Melanie. Happy Sunday. I'm coming at you today from my laundry room. Not the fanciest room in my house, but I had some decent lighting in here, and I figured that that would be helpful for you guys to be able to kind of see what I'm doing a little bit better. Today's tutorial is, I think, kind of a really helpful one. I do get a lot of questions about how I clean out my candle jars. Especially these really decorative ones from Homeworx. Obviously, Bath & Body Works will sometimes put out nicer jars as well. And you do have to clean these a little bit more carefully than just a regular candle jar, which is what I have on here right now. So long story short, I actually recorded myself yesterday cleaning out this Homeworx Rose Petals candle jar, but the footage didn't turn out. So I'm redoing it today, but I'm showing you guys with a non-decorative Homeworx candle. So just pretend that this has either like a fancy embossing or fancy color or something. And you can certainly clean your regular candles like this as well. So typically what I will do for jars like this that are not very decorative or that I don't have to be as careful with is I will actually pop them directly into my freezer. And this is kind of space dependent. Obviously, if I've just done a Costco trip, there is no room in the freezer for my candle jars. So sometimes I do get quite the backlog if I don't stay on top of it. But what happens when I put these jars in the freezer is the wax contracts from the sides and the bottom of the jar. And what you're able to do as soon as you get the quote-unquote frozen jar out of the freezer is you can take a butter knife. I have a butter knife that is specifically used for this, and you essentially just kind of like carefully break the wax up, and then it just pops out. So because the wax is frozen and contracted from the sides, it very cleanly comes out of the jar. The rest of the wax goes into the trash, depending on whether the candle was in a candle crock or not, and there was a lot of wax in there. Sometimes I can literally even turn the jar, like if this was like a Bath & Body Works candle, a lot of times I can just turn the jar upside down and shake it, and the whole thing just plops out. Wicks and all, because often what you see me doing is utilizing candle crocks. If you don't know what a candle crock is, I will link a video down below. I will also be linking some products down below that are very similar to what I have here, as well as a couple of really neutral candle crocks, where you can use those for a few different things. Obviously, you can use them to bring some candles back to life that maybe dud out because of puny wicks, or maybe there's like this weird kerosene smell, which happens a lot with Bath & Body Works candles. What happens when you put them in the candle crock, you're essentially melting them. You're not going to be able to relight that candle, but it will allow you to get like an extended period of like fragrance out of that candle so that you don't feel like you're wasting it, if that makes sense. The Candle Crock 101 video down below will explain it a little bit more in depth. But another thing that that candle crock will do, or that a hot plate warmer like this will do, is it loosens the glue from the bottom of this one's still a little dirty inside. I still have to get some of that remaining residue out with some goof off. I will link that down below as well. But a lot of times when you use the crock or the hot plate warmer, it loosens the glue that's on the bottom, and so those just pop out after you get them out of the freezer. You can't do that with these, and let me tell you why. A lot of these like specialty glasses it's not colored glass. This is not pink glass. This is not like milk glass where the actual glass itself is colored, and you can tell that on the bottom of the jar here because you can see that it's clear. So this jar originally started out like, sorry, awkward reaching across. It started out like this one, and this is another Homeworx candle jar. You can see the logo up there. I obviously cleaned this one out using this particular method I'm about to show you. I didn't have to be as careful with this one because this was never colored on the inside. So I could have popped this one in the freezer if I wanted to, but I did use this method with that. That is now holding all of the change that comes out of Craig's pockets before I do laundry. But these are spray painted on the inside, and I did do just a little scratch on the, can you guys see that? Yeah, now you can see it. Do you see where that, my finger is kind of going in and out? So if you're not careful with these, you can muck up this paint that is spray painted on the inside here. And that, I don't know, when that happens, usually like I will recycle them. A lot of ways to damage this would be to either not be careful when you're getting the wicks out, which I'll show you how to do that here in a second, or if you are digging in here with a knife, you can damage this, and then it just doesn't look as pretty because you can tell on the outside of the glass that it's been scratched. Now, could you respray paint it? Sure, but you'd have to find a very similar color. So the labels on these new Homeworx jars, by the way, come off really easily. I just put a little bit of water on the top here. It loosens that glue very easily, and then you just wipe it off. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to go from a dirty used candle jar like this to a clean one like this that you can then reuse either for cotton rounds or whatever. I do have the lid to this, by the way. It's already upstairs. I already cleaned that up. So what I have here, because these Homeworx candles do not fit into a candle crock, I have to use something like this right here, which is essentially a hot plate warmer. You can get them super cheap, where you just get like this cheap white plastic one that you can find at Michael's. I prefer something a little more decorative like this because I also use this with the dish that it comes with, and I can turn it into like any of my other Scentsy warmers essentially. And this one looks great here in my laundry room because it kind of matches my color palette in here, so that's why this one lives in here. But you get some nice double duty out of this. So I would say invest the extra, like, I don't know, $8 to $10 and get something that you can do double duty with. So obviously this does not fit directly onto this metal hot plate part right here, but it heats it up enough so that it loosens the glue on the wicks and that you're able to clean the candle out very easily. I will admit that these specialty jars, because they don't have the lip at the bottom, actually fit on here a little bit better. So you can see that that just almost sits right on top of that metal there. So it works even better with these decorative jars than it does with the more traditional ones. So, all right, you guys. So what you're going to want to do is turn on your warmer. This has been on here for about, I would say, 20 minutes. If I'm doing these like one after the other, once this element really heats up nicely, I can take an extra like 5 minutes off because it tends to go quicker. I don't have to wait for this to initially warm up. So get yourself a couple of paper towels. Get yourself a pair of like old tweezers if you have them, just because it's going to save you from actually having to touch the wick clips, which I'm going to have to do today because I can't find my tweezers. Get yourself an extra paper towel to put debris and stuff on top of. And so now I'm going to grab this. You can see that during the last burn, there were a few wick clippings that dropped down. That's definitely melted. There is some loose wax in the bottom there as well. So what I'm going to do now is simply pluck out the clips. I just cut my nails, so it's really hard to get a hold of these, but it just pops right out. So I'm going to stick that on there. And yeah, this is kind of messy. I wish I had my tweezers. You can see I've got those wick clips on there. But you see how these just lift right out? What you don't want to do with the specialty glass is slide around, because these are pretty sharp and these will cut into that essentially spray paint that is inside of the jar. So once you have those out, you can now go in with just another paper towel, and you can scoop out those wick trimmings there that fell in. And yeah, this is messy, but usually if I'm just doing them all at once, it's fine. So I just take one last piece of paper towel and give it a nice wipe on the inside there, and that all that glue has pretty much melted on the bottom, so it's easy to wipe off. If there is remaining glue, all you have to do is take a little bit of goof off, pour that in the bottom there, and again, take a clean paper towel and wipe it out. The goof off gets the rest of that stuff out. And then all you have to do is just get some nice hot soapy water to clean out the inside of the jar, the remainder of, maybe there's like a little bit of wax left on the sides. So just some nice hot soapy water. Try not to let any wax actually go down your drain. It can clog your pipes, so be careful to never pour wax down your drain, even if it's just a little tiny bit. That's why I go through kind of a lot of paper towels during this process, because I really try hard to get the vast majority of the wax out. You can also pop these into your dishwasher if you don't want to do it by hand. What's nice about these Homeworx ones is this, actually I might be able to get it here because this had a little cut in it. I think someone at Ulta maybe cut that. But these labels are essentially shrink wrapped on, I wish I had my nails. They're essentially shrink wrapped on here. So it's really easy to get these off. Like there's no glue used with these at all. So you just kind of essentially peel it off. And again, the bottom here, you just soak a little bit of water on here. And by the way, this was my delightful guava sunset. This just kind of peels away when you do that. Try not to like get this off with just your fingernails. It's gonna leave a lot of residue. It's just more work. Put it upside down in the sink, allow some water to sit on there, and it'll slide right off. So that is how I clean out, not necessarily these jars, but these jars here. And that is how you avoid damaging the paint on the inside, is by making sure that you are not digging around in there with a butter knife or any other type of sharp object. And it just allows you to keep these glasses for, or I guess you could call it a vase or whatever, and reuse it for other purposes. So a lot of times these go into my bathrooms, and I will put Q-tips and cotton balls in here. I use these as catch-alls for things like pencils, erasers, paper clips. So I have a couple of these in my office. They're just really nice decorative jars. I will even put floral arrangements in these. So yeah, anyway, that's how you do it. It's really simple, you guys. Just get yourself one of these types of warmers, and it's really going to help the process along. And then when you're not using it to clean out your candle jars, you can just plop that on there, put some wax melts in there, and use it as a regular warmer. And then all you have to do with this stuff here, right there, is toss it into the garbage. So that's it. I hope that this was helpful. I figured it would be better to show you guys a visual versus trying to explain it on camera. Let me know if you have any additional questions down below, and I will be happy to answer them. If you are new, I hope you'll take the time to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.